This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Cabo Jim Schaller.
Welcome, Good Neighbors, to episode number 231 of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have Good Neighbor Bryan Braley from ProWatch Home Services. Welcome.
Hi, how's it going?
It is going awesome. I cannot complain. Living the life down here in Southwest Florida. So we love it. But let's start off. Obviously, you're in the home services, but let's share with our listeners a little bit more about what you do.
Sure. So I have a ProWatch, a home watch business where I come in and take care of people's homes when they're away, whether they're a secondary homeowner and they're snowbirds or whether they're going on long extended vacations. I basically come in and take care of their property better than I would my own.
Very nice. Very nice. So let's back up that story a little bit. How did you get involved in this in the first place?
Well, actually, I've been a property and casualty insurance agent now for 15 years. That's my primary job. I started this business because when I moved down here to Naples, Florida 5 years ago, I was helping my friends, neighbors, and family take care of their properties when they were gone. I'm a do-it-yourself handyman, and I was able to fix a lot of issues and problems, and I have an eye for detail, so I would see these issues and problems and get them taken care of. I was what you would call a hobby home watch person. I wasn't official, and then a year and a half ago, I decided to make it official, and I went and got training, over 300 hours of training. I got certified, I got the correct insurance, and I launched the ProWatch Home Services LLC so that I could do it on a more professional level.
I love that. You know, we all have friends, you know, or meet people down here that have a house, come down here for the winter, and then head back up north. So a lot of homes are vacant throughout the year.
They are.
Let's talk about challenges, whether personally or maybe professionally. We've all had something we've gone through, but come out better on the other side of it. Is there something that's happened along your journey?
I guess me personally, you're talking about personal, not professional, right?
Well, it could be professional. I mean, you know, we've all been through a lot of obstacles down here in Southwest Florida, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't want to say that I have, because I feel like everything that's kind of happens for a reason and points me down the right path. And whether it's something that's negative or positive, I usually learn something from it and move on. So I can't really point to one thing that I would say did that.
Well, let's talk about, the hurricanes, Ian, Helene, Milton that came through here. How'd that affect what you did?
So it's a lot of work. Think about this. How much work is it to get your own piece of property ready? Now imagine doing that for 20 to 30 homes. It's a lot of work. And I try to prep my clients as much ahead of time so that it's not so much when there's an actual storm coming. You know, when they leave their house for the season, I tell them, bring all your furniture in, not just the cushions, bring the furniture in. Unless, of course, they have the automated shutters, then it's okay to leave them out in the lanai. But a lot of the work has to do with me is moving furniture inside from outside, planters, welcome mats. Those all go airborne. Anything that could be moved around, I've got to move or secure. Any food left in the refrigerator, because if the power goes out for a week, the food's going to go bad, and then the refrigerator is going to need to be professionally cleaned by me or somebody else, and that's an added expense. So I try and do as much ahead of time before they leave so that they don't have as much expense when these storms do come. But there's always tons of work for me to do between trying to orchestrate manual shutters being put up by a professional shutter person, which is really hard to find, or by, emptying out their fridge or bringing stuff inside. And then at the same time, communicating with all of them and trying to get to all of them in a quick fashion. The other thing that happens is a lot of times we don't go into a, hurricane watch or hurricane warning to maybe 3 days before. So you really don't have a lot of time to get all that stuff ready. I end up getting my own house ready like a week before a storm's going to hit, because I know once we get the notice, I'm not going to have time to do it for my own self. So I have to do it mine ahead of time.
Absolutely. Getting a lot of that preventative maintenance done ahead of time is important. So let's talk about the myths or misconceptions surrounding the home watch industry. Maybe we can
Oh, there's a
clear up
lot
a
of
couple.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
there's a lot of them. So, I would say one of the number one things I hear all the time is my house is new, nothing's going to happen to it. That's a terrible misconception. I find that a lot of times newer homes have just as many issues, if not more, than older homes, especially when it comes to roof leaks. I have a client that I just picked up right before Hurricane Milton who had a brand new $2 million home and thought, it's new, it's not a big deal. I went in, there were roof leaks. I found 3 roof leaks that I got addressed very quickly. So that's a misconception. Another misconception with our business is that it's a licensed business. A lot of times you'll hear people say that they're licensed and insured. There is no licensing for Home Watch. And the unfortunate thing is when people say that, people make the assumption that when someone's licensed, that they've gone through the appropriate training and have been somewhat vetted by some kind of entity to get that license. And so by them saying that is a big, gross misrepresentation. If you're certified like me, that does mean that typically, depending on who your certification is from. But some certifications are just, check your insurance and do a quick background check. Some of them require training along with the background check and insurance as well. And that's what I have. I actually have both of them.
Very good. Very important to have and very important for people to understand the difference between that as well.
Yes.
Let's talk about anything trending or changing in the industry over the last year or so.
Yeah, I would say one of the trends that I see is that people are staying longer and coming back earlier. So, our season used to be January to maybe mid-April, and now I have clients that stay till middle of June and come back middle to end of October. So, and then I also have people who don't even come at all. I have some people that have houses in other countries in Asia and Europe where their staying time here is completely randomized. They may come for a month and then leave for 4 months. I have one client who comes back here in August because it's too hot where he is in Thailand. He comes here because it's cooler,
A lot of people would argue about that, but
Yeah.
I love the heat, so I'm not going to complain. So are you from Southwest Florida originally?
No, I'm originally from Massachusetts. I grew up on a vacation land called Cape Cod, Massachusetts. So it is a high tourism area, seasonal, just like this, just opposite seasons. Our tourist season up there is from June to end of August. So it's pretty short and it's nothing like it is here. The weather is much better here.
Yeah, I'm myself. I'm from the Midwest, so I can understand. People that had boats get out in the summer and use their boats because there's only a short little window that you can use them.
Exactly.
So, talking about outside, your job is probably very demanding with managing that many homes. But when you get a moment of free time, what do you enjoy doing outside of work?
So another part of my business is I do an auto concierge service, and so I'm very big into the automotive scene. I know a lot of people in Naples as far as getting work done on cars. I have a lot of connections in that industry. I was in that industry for a long time up in Massachusetts. So I have a lot of connections from whether it's auto body shops, repair, service, helping selling a car, transporting a car, detailing a car. I have connections for all that stuff. So one of the things that I also offer to my clients that use me for their home watch is I also can take care of their cars. So anyone that has a house and then they have maybe a couple of cars that they leave in the garage, I help them by taking care of those cars. But on the free time, I go to a lot of car shows. I was just at Cars on Fifth with a car. One of my friends who has multiple cars. He has a collection of cars. You can't drive them all there at the same time. So I was there with his car in the morning. We were there at 6:30 and didn't leave until 4 o'clock.
Wow.
So and when I go to these car shows, I'm meeting a lot of people and making a lot of connections. Not just for myself, but for my clients too. So I'm always on the lookout on what would benefit me with my cars, but also what would benefit my clients and their cars.
Absolutely. Being involved in the community, very big, very important, especially for what you do. So is there one thing you wish our listeners knew about what you do that maybe they wouldn't be so familiar with? You mentioned the concierge with the autos or anything else.
Yeah. So I'd say one of the biggest things that a lot of people don't know about is has to do with their homeowner's insurance. And there's a clause in there that has to do with any moisture-related claims. And as an insurance agent, my other job as an insurance agent, I also have a really good understanding of these policies, how they're written, and how not necessarily every little thing that is true about a policy will actually be listed in your policy. These things can be very hard to find. They're written by attorneys. But the Cliff Notes version of this is that basically, if you have any kind of a moisture or water claim, so that could be whether it's water damage, mold, mildew, anything like that, it has to be discovered within 14 days of it starting. So if you don't have a way of proving to the insurance company, it wasn't here on this day, but on day 13, we found it, they can deny the claim. And if you don't have a way of proving it, they're going to use their people to determine, and they don't want to pay the claim. So of course, they're not going to be on your side so much as to when did that start. So by using a service like mine, whether it's mine or anybody else that uses software like I do, it shows the date, the time, GPS stamp of when I was in that house. And I use tools and photographs to prove that the air conditioning was working and that the humidity was at the correct levels. And then when I come back to that house 10 days later or 13 days later, I can then say, well, there wasn't a problem here and there is a problem now. And that helps when you're trying to get that insurance claim covered from your insurance company.
Wow, great information. A lot of people aren't aware of that, especially with the insurance companies now. They don't want to. They've been hit hard the last couple of years, so they don't want to pay out anything.
They don't.
So, how would our listeners go about contacting you if they wanted to learn more?
Well, they can go to visit my website, which is www.ProWatchHomeServices.com. Or they can call my office line, which is 239-238-6734.
Perfect. Any last words for our listeners?
I say enjoy the sunshine.
Absolutely. Get outside and enjoy the sun. So, hey, Bryan, it's been a pleasure getting to know you. Thank you for being such a good neighbor, and we hope to see you out in the community soon.
Great. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Estero. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpestero.com. That's gnpestero.com. Or call 239-296-2621.